Hi, happy Monday. It's another week. A bit warmer this week than it's been. So I hope you had a beautiful, love-filled weekend with Valentine's Day. Even if you don't have a partner, looking after yourself and loving yourself more would be a really great reason to celebrate Valentine's Day. Um, yeah, so if you haven't met me before, welcome to all the occupiers of White City Place. Thank you for being here. Thanks for connecting this way. Um, Generally, I talk for a little bit about various themes around meditation. And when I say around meditation, some of them are very uh, you won't think they're necessarily to do with meditation. They're things in our lives, things that happen in our lives, but how we kind of link the way that we think in our lives is, of course, very much based with meditation. So we can control our responses to life when we focus a little bit more on getting to know ourselves through our meditation practice. So I tend to talk a little bit about these themes, and then we'll do a meditation practice together, a session together. So I hope that makes lots of sense. And yeah, so last week, I think it was last week, I was talking about how we can induce and embody positive states. So when you know and when you learn that you are or we are negatively wired from our ancestral days, like a very long time ago, or hunter-gatherer days, very long time ago, it's amazing that we still have so many of the responses to those days. In other words, our stress response is all geared around our hunter-gatherer days. Only the mechanics of it are the same, but the reasons why we get stressed are very, very different, of course, now in this new age. But we still have the same mechanics. So we will still get, when we get stressed, exactly the same thing happens in our bodies as it did all those hundreds of years ago. So it's good to know that, but it's also good to know that we can induce happy states. So yeah, I mentioned we're negatively wired. So we're negatively wired because we had to be a little bit suspicious back in the hunter-gatherer days. We had to know when we were in danger. And that meant that really we didn't trust very much until it was proven it was safe. So we were kind of slanting on the negative. An example of that would be, out hunting and you think you see a snake ahead of you. So the first reaction is it's a snake, it's a snake, it's a snake, and the stress levels rise until you slowly make yourself a little bit closer and you realize it's not a snake, it's a twisted piece of twig. So automatically we think it's a snake. Now you probably think that you would be the same, and rightly so. You probably would be the same. We would probably be the same. One does respond like that. We're careful, right? So it does keep us safe. It's our survival mode. But because of the survival mode, it means that we are wired that way. We are wired to the negative, wired to the this is dangerous or this is not good, before we allow ourselves to be in a better state of mind. And of course, once you discover it's a twig and not a snake, your stress levels dissolve. You feel a lot better. And yes, okay, you kind of hit this kind of nice medium plateau of being okay. But you're still on guard. You're not looking for you're looking for the next negative thing. And I'm sure many of you, or many of us, we can relate to that in our lives now. We're kind of looking for the things to go wrong before we trust it. But the good news is that when you know that you are negatively wired, that in itself is a mechanical thing. So when we know something is mechanical, it means that it's not happening outside of us. It is within our control. There are a certain number of events that lead to that feeling, that emotion, that opinion, whatever it might be. And so when we know that there are mechanics behind it, then what's to stop us using the same mechanics but towards a positive outcome, a positive response, positive way of looking at the world? And we can do that. We can do that. We can induce these feelings into our body. This is why meditation is really, really useful. One of the reasons it's really, really useful. You learn to understand your own mind more. You learn to understand when feelings crop up, when emotions crop up, how to recognize them first and then deal with it. But wouldn't it be great if we could make the positive a default as opposed to the negative? So last week I was talking about what psychologists call unprovoked happiness. And that means just that you can bring in a sense of joy, bring in a sense of happiness without having to be in the experience of the event that makes you happy. For example, if jumping up and down in the sea makes you feel happy, as it does me, or skiing down a mountain, or just being in snow, or watching your child do something cute, or eating a beautiful meal with your loved one, whatever it might be. We've all been there at some point, and you know that the experience brings on this happy feeling, okay? So that's it happening for real, in real time. You bring in that happy feeling, so you know what it feels like. If we notice more as we're being mindful about our day, how things feel, then it's going to be far easier to recollect that feeling, to bring in that feeling through a meditation, for example, to bring in the feeling of the event without having to be there. So in meditation, we can get to a point where we can actually just remember what the feeling is like and bring that feeling into our bodies. And the more we do that, the more we are, the more able we are to default to a positive as opposed to a negative. So we can be more positively wired than negatively wired. It takes practice. It takes a really, really, really long time to repeat that often enough in your mind that it becomes known in your brain, in your mind. It's like anything. We go to the gym to build muscle in our physical body. It's the same with the mind. It's like taking it to the gym, and practice over practice will then allow it to become more focused. So it's a bit like your focus muscle that you are trying to build in your kind of mind gym, if you like. In fact, if you don't even want to call it meditation, you could call it your mind gym. How about that? It's a nice idea. And it's a nice visual to have, that you're taking your mind to the gym. Yeah, so that's what I really wanted to talk about. And the other thing I wanted to discuss just quickly is also with meditation. I've just mentioned practice is really important. Repetition. If you can aim to meditate once a day, do that. The more you meditate, the more you're going to, it's almost like putting in, you become really good at something after 10,000 hours. That would take you a very long time with meditation. But like anything, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. So if you can, so really aim for every day, even if it's just a few minutes. But what I wanted to mention today was when you allow some time for your meditation, don't make it so that in 5 minutes after your meditation ends, you've then got to do something really important, like you've got a meeting or anything like that. Yes, fit it in, but don't take it so tight up to the time that you've got to get back into the your regular world, whether it's work or whatever it might be. Don't leave it so tight. Give yourself some space, because what will happen if you don't do that is that you'll be sitting there thinking, oh gosh, I've got to remember to do that thing in a few minutes. Hope this doesn't run over. So you'll be conscious of time. You'll be constantly thinking about the end of the meditation and finishing it in time so that you can sit in your meeting or whatever it might be. So just be mindful about that. If you say you get up at 7 and you start work at 9, and you decided to, you go have your shower, your breakfast, catch up on emails or whatever it might be, and meditate, if that's one of those things. Don't leave, say there's 4 things, don't leave meditation in the last quarter. Put it in the first or the second quarter. And then you can relax a little bit more. It doesn't matter if you run into your shower time, or your breakfast time. That's far less worrying than missing an appointment for work, right? So just be mindful about that, leaving time and then time beyond that to do your more domestic stuff before anything too important comes up. All right. Okay, great. Let's start. So just closing your eyes. And I just want you to really, really notice how you are right now. So don't even try and meditate. Don't try and do that. Just sit with how you are right now. And there's a few things to notice. You can notice how your body feels. You can notice whether your shoulders feel like they are too close to your ears. You can let them drop a little bit. You can also notice if you feel like you're sitting a bit slouched, don't change anything if you're comfortable. You don't have to kind of sit up with an erect spine. You don't have to do that. It helps because it means that you can breathe a little bit better. But the main thing is that you are really, really comfortable and that you can be there for however long it is that you decide to meditate. In this instance, it'll be about 25 minutes. So it's important for you to be comfortable, whatever that means for you. Sitting on a chair, sitting on the floor, really just noticing, feeling into the body. And now just take the awareness to your breath, but just see if you can do that without consciously breathing, without having to breathe a certain way. Just see if you can notice the breath coming in and out of your body very, very subtly. You might notice where the breath comes in. Is it through the nose? Is it through the mouth? And does it go all the way to the belly? Do you feel the belly extending on the in-breath and contracting on the out-breath? Can you notice whether your breath feels even on both sides. Are you breathing in for the same amount of time that you're breathing out? And it doesn't matter if you're not, you're just noticing what that is, what your normal, natural breath is right now. And it won't be the same every time you sit down to meditate. Now, with this, I want you to very, very gently open your eyes, but don't open them fully. Just look a little bit down. Just a very, very soft gaze, maybe on the floor or just little bit in front of you, not fully opening the eyes, but just a very soft, heavy gaze. And while you're just gazing at nothing, or not really kind of taking whatever it is you're looking at into consideration, you're just staring at it or staring through it. Just notice how your breath is now. So have this very subconscious idea of how the breath is feeling as it leaves your body, as it comes into your body. And then again, gently close the eyes again. But keep that same awareness on the breath. So the idea of that really was just to show you that when you really tune into your breath this way and then open your eyes, you're still in what you'd like to call the real world, but you're still very focused on how you're breathing. And you can do that any time in the day. And then you come back to it again just by closing your eyes. So it's quite nice to do that. So also a really nice way to transition back from meditation. All right, so now we're going to consciously breathe. That just means that we're going to do a breath exercise as opposed to your natural breath. Conscious breath is um, being aware of the breath and how we use it. So I will guide you through it, but we're going to be counting in for a certain number. And that number is going to be 6. We're going to hold the breath for 4, and we're going to let the breath go for 7 or 8. And then in between time, we're going to just take a regular breath in and a regular breath out. And we'll do it again for 6, 4, 7, 8. And we'll do that 5 times. But we won't start until I count to 3. And when I count to 3, just let go of all of your breath. And you can do that just by really drawing the navel into your stomach. So as if you're putting your stomach muscles in, and that'll just push the last breath out. All right, so just breathing in subtly to 3. 1, 2, 3. And let all the breath go. Even that last bit. And then breathing in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And hold. 2, 3, 4. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Normal breath in. Normal breath out. Breathing in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And hold. 2, 3, 4. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Normal breath in. Normal breath out. Breathing in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And hold. 2, 3, 4. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Normal breath in, and normal breath out. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8. Normal breath in, and normal breath out. Last one. Inhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8. And let that go. Normal breathing. Just notice how that feels. Notice how the difference is from your natural breath at the beginning and at the end to the conscious breath. When you let go of having to breathe a certain way, it's so nice just to feel like everything is just relaxed, nowhere to go, nothing to do, just letting go. And a really nice place to come to at that point is the back of your eyelids. So, whatever you see at the back of your eyelids, color or shape, whatever it is, just trying to keep the focus of what you're looking at for as long as you can before another thought comes in and distracts you. If you're in a light room or if your window faces the light, it's quite nice to be positioned in front of the window so that you get more of a lighter color through your eyelids. You can still see things at the back of your eyelids, even if you're in complete darkness. But it's quite fun to have a little bit of natural light. And then, if and when the sun comes out or it just gets a bit lighter outside, you can notice the color and the intonations just change. You can see that difference. And that also helps you keep your focus behind the eyelids. So, this is a literal um, image that you can see. It's not imagined. You can see it. You can see as if you're looking at the back of a cinema screen. Your eyelids are like screens at the movies, only it's just color at the moment. So it's really just keeping your focus, your attention. And the trick is that, of course, your mind gets bored after it's looked at the same thing for a while, and particularly if there's nothing happening on the screens. But the more you look, the more you can see different things. It can be a little bit like a kaleidoscope sometimes, in the way that you're still looking at the back of the eyelids, but the images can change very slightly. There's not an awful lot going on. It's very subtle. It might be like looking at the back of a lava lamp, or some kind of, I don't know, like watching raindrops down your window, if you like. Very slow but movement. So just keeping your attention there. And noticing when you do have a thought coming in. So there's lots of things to look out for when you're looking at the back of your eyelids. And one is that when a thought comes in, you might be so engrossed in that thought that you've gone right into the visual of the thought. All our thoughts are visual. We think about something and we see it as a picture in our head, even whether it's a conversation or something that you've learned or something you've read in a book or whatever it might be, or a movie you watched, it's visual. So it's noticing whether you got consumed by that and you've forgotten what you were doing, and maybe just the sound of my voice or how you're sitting reminded you that you're trying to meditate. And at that point, you go, oh, back. Yes, what am I doing? Yeah, I'm looking behind my eyelids. So that's okay if that happens. Don't worry about it. I want you to notice, though, about whether or not you were completely consumed, or if you were just looking at the back of your eyelids and you had a thought come in, but you didn't lose your gaze. And that can feel a little bit like the thought just kind of went round the back door of the vision and it just kind of floated by, but the stronger focus was on the eyelids. It's almost like thoughts can just kind of float by, but you haven't lost the focus, or you get completely consumed and then you realize, oh, I've got to go back. So it's just noticing that. And then if you do get so consumed by the thought that comes in and you notice you've got to go back, that noticing is the point of the mindfulness. And then once you've noticed it, you can then work on expanding the space between the thoughts. I say that slowly because it's a really good thing to remember. You're expanding the space between the thoughts. So when you notice you had the thought and you come back to the eyelids, that's the space. And you try and hang on to that space. So you can try and keep the focus on the color or the shape or the light, whatever it might be, until the next thought comes in. And then you can notice the quality of that. Do I get consumed by it? Or is it just, has the focus of the eyelids won and the thought just is kind of like floating by? If it was another consumed thought, you're just going, okay, that was a nice little kind of longer space this time. I'll see if the next time my next thought comes in, I'll see if I can keep hold of this color longer. So you're trying to expand the space between the thoughts. That's all it is. It's that focus. Now, another really nice trick with this as well is that if you're finding it difficult to keep the color and the thoughts are coming in, or you're finding it hard to see a color, or you don't like the color, then with your eyes shut still, cast your eyes down as if you're looking down your nose. So look down. Still got your eyes closed, but you're looking down. The eyelids are going as far down as the eyeballs are looking right down the nose. And you'll notice the color change. It might get lighter, it might get darker, but you're going to notice that. And that gives you something new to look at. And the brain loves that. They love something new to focus on. But that's good because you're still focusing on just behind your eyelids. It doesn't matter that it's a new thing. And also what happens is your eyeballs get a bit tired from just looking down all the time. So slowly you can allow your eyes to drift back to their regular place and then see if it looks different behind the eyelids. Now, another thing that might help you is when you're looking at the back of the eyelids, to give that a word like color or focus, something quite literal like that, like you are looking at the color or you are focusing. And just give it a name. And you can say that name over and over. So it could just be color, 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 or if you prefer, focus. And just by having that word as a little prompt, it can remind you to go back, but also if you keep saying it very gently over and over again, it'll help keep you there as well. So just trying that for, I'm going to time it for you. So starting now, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. I won't say anything. Just see how that goes for you. I'll bring you out of it in 2 minutes. And then just let that go. That was actually about 2.5 minutes. And just notice to yourself whether that felt like a long time or a short time. But the good thing about that is that when you get into that quiet space, you lose all idea of time. It's really nice. It's nice to come out of that linear way of thinking, just to give that time to yourself, to not be aware of it as each minute passes. Yeah. So now, what I want to do is what we're talking about at the beginning, which was embodying the feeling, the positive, rewiring to the positive default. So now that you've got used to being inside the head at the back of the eyelids, and also giving that space a name like color, we're now going to bring in the feeling. So I want you to now think of a word, a positive word. Now that could be a sense of awe, joy, health, as in healthy, good health, clarity, progression, love, gratitude. These are all just ideas, just giving you some ideas. I don't want you to have to think too hard. And really, just the first word that springs to mind is normally a good one. Happy, So think about the word that you want for you, whether it's today or for the week, and then just remember how that word feels. So if it was clarity, for example, and you need more of that, it's that idea of really, really focusing, and you were just doing that behind your eyelids. So that idea of just that calm, centered place, that grounded place. So you can think of a time maybe when you felt really everything was in balance. You felt at one, and you were calm and you were focused. If it was happy, you might not need to even think about a time that you were happy. You just remember that feeling. And where it happens in your body, does it fill you up? Does it feel like you're expanding through your chest wall? Because it's so exciting when you feel happiness and you can kind of feel the feeling sort of spreading through your shoulders and your chest lifts a little bit. It's a very uplifting feeling. Awe, the sense of awe. It might be that you listen to an incredible piece of music, or you were looking at a piece of art that just blew you away, or some incredible, um, you know, guys hanging on the edge of a mountain, by their fingertips without any rope. It's incredibly awesome that they can do that, or tricks on a bike or a scooter that you've seen, or just something that makes you go, wow, that's incredible. That feeling of awe. So we've all sensed these emotions before. So just remembering what it might be that brought in that sense, or just engaging into the sense straight away, and then really feeling it in your body. And I want you to imagine that every in breath, you're breathing in the sense of the word that you have chosen. And every out breath, it's just softening into your very being. It's just filling up your body space. You can imagine, if you like, that you're bringing it in through the breath, and then it's just traveling into the rest of your body, filling you up. And then it can feel uncomfortable if you've never done it before, but just with meditation, but also just smiling a little bit. It can be very gentle smile. It doesn't have to be a big grin or anything, but just that nice sense of joy with a smile, appreciation, just bringing that into a physical reaction on your face. And that alone, just by smiling, helps to trigger serotonin response in your body. So you're bringing in this sense of positivity, this positive word, the sense of the word that you have chosen, along with a little smile. And just embody that word for as long as you can, as long as it feels good. And make sure that you're not forcing anything. Make sure that you're not focusing too hard. It's quite nice to check every now and then that your body's relaxed, that your shoulders are relaxed, you're comfortable. And then go back into sensing the word, the feeling. Now, I'm going to leave the meeting so that you can sit there as long as it feels good. Because if you're in a good space, it's really nice to hold on to it. So only come out of it when you're ready. But my advice to you would be to come out of it the same way as we went in. And if you remember, um, we slowly opened the eyes just a little bit, but we stayed with the breath, we stayed with it. So when you come out of this meditation this time, just gently open your eyes. Don't kind of open them too wide, but whatever your eyes land on, just allow yourself to kind of stare through that object a little bit and then keep the sense of that joy. Keep feeling it. It'll be a little bit more difficult with the eyes open, but just see if you can transition out that way and then slowly bring yourself back. So, good luck. I hope you enjoyed that. And I will be here next week. So, yeah, look forward to seeing you then. But stay